Well, it's Muscadine grape season, and since I've not had a chance to make wine from grapes before, I figured this would be an excellent opportunity to try my hand at it. Hi, I'm Charles, and welcome to DIY Fermentation, your site for doing fermentation on a shoestring budget. Now, before we begin, I want to give a special shout out to the following new members: Cindy Kernick and Mel Panee. Thank you very much for helping support this channel. Now then, on with the show. To make our muscadine wine, we will be using the following. I've got about 3 pounds or 40 ounces of muscadine grapes. I've got 2.5 pounds or about 5 cups of sugar. We will be making adjustments to that later on. We're going to need about a gallon of water. Well, way less than that, but enough water to give us 1 gallon of wine. We'll be using a Red Star Premiere Classique wine yeast because of the way it brings out the natural flavors and essences of a red wine. We're going to need straining bag because we are going to be straining these grapes of their juice. We will not be using the grape skins or the grape pulp in making this batch of wine. We're going to need a 1 gallon or 4-liter container to do our primary fermentation in. We're going to need an airlock with stopper. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to rack it or transfer our wine from our primary into our secondary container to get it off a lot of the yeast that has settled to the bottom. So, of course, we're going to need another carboy. Now, it would be nice to know the alcoholic content of our wine when we finish, and also the amount of sugar we need to put in going in. So I'm going to be using a hydrometer with tube. And last but certainly not least, everything, all carboys, utensils, tools, everything is going to be sanitized using your sanitizer of choice. Right now I'm still using Star San, so that will make sure that everything going into the mix is going to be clean. And that's what I'm going to be using to make this wine. Now, to make these grapes a little bit easier to crush up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the freezer and let them firm up, if not freeze, and then thaw them out and crush them out later. Now my plan is going to be this. I'm going to take about a handful of these thawed out berries, which are now softened, handful or 2. Remove any stems that you might see because you're not going to be needing them. And just get a small amount into a bowl, and I could smash them with my hands because they're now soft enough, but I think I'm going to use a masher. Berries are still surprisingly firm, but the juice is being extracted. Alright, so yeah, it might be kind of a slow process, but it will get done. Alright, let's get these into a straining bag. Now, though I do plan on filling up the bag later on, the general process is this. Get it in the bag, strain out some more additional juice. Now just remember, everything's been properly sanitized, and also hands are clean. They've been sanitized as well. But you want to squeeze out all the juice. And get ready for the next batch. And repeat the process. Now that we're in the kitchen, we need to do a few things. One, we want to bring up about half of our water to boil. Trying to get as much in the pot as possible. I mean, you don't have to be precise because we are putting in 4 cups of sugar and 2 cups of juice. And anything we come up short, we'll simply add in the rest of our water. But right now, we just want to bring this up to a boil so that we can put in our sugar. The hot water will help it dissolve a bit more easily. And in the meantime, I can clean up this mess I just made. Now that our water has come to a boil, we can go ahead and start adding our sugar. Alright, and we can now go ahead and add in our juice. And let's give that a little stir. We don't need the heat anymore, we can just turn that off. Put our cover back on and wait for that to come down to room temperature. Now that our juice has come down to room temperature, we need to begin the process of moving it from our pot to our carboy. And I don't think I'm just going to pour it in there all at once. I think I'll just scoop it out and pour it in a little bit at a time. Alright, slowly getting there. We're that much short from where we need to be. I'm going to go ahead and add in some more of our water to bring our level up. I don't want it too high because we need to take a hydrometer reading, and if our reading is way low, we need to add more sugar, and I want to have space to add the additional sugar. So let me take a hydrometer reading. Alright, the hydrometer reading came in at 1.090, which is within that 1.080, 1.090 range. So I think it's safe for me to go ahead and add the additional water to bring our level up. And then we'll take another hydrometer reading. Alright, our new hydrometer reading is 1.082. All that remains to be done now is to add our 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. And let's go ahead and put our airlock on. It's now time to label our creation. We are currently making Muscadine wine. And we started making it on this date. And our starting gravity was again 1.082. Now, of course, over the next several months, there are going to be several rackings before we get to degassing and then bottling and pasteurization and all of that. The wine will more than likely end up being dry, so we can back sweeten it at the end of the process. But there we go. That is how I'm going to make 1 gallon of Muscadine wine. And if you like what you see here, of course, please click on the subscribe button, and I'll be more than happy to continue making these videos. So until then, I'll see you.